Hello everybody, my name is Martin. I'm the CEO of Xbrane Biopharma. So, Xbrane is a developer of biosimilars. And a biosimilar is essentially the corresponding thing to a generic, but for biological drugs. So when the patent expires of a biological drug, it opens up for biosimilars to come in and compete. It's called biosimilars because you cannot prove that you have an identical molecule to the originator, but you have to prove as high equivalence as possible, so thereby the name biosimilar. We believe this is important, what we are doing, because this is all about making accessible what is often very expensive biological treatments to wider population. In the US, for example, 40% of pharmaceutical spend goes to biological drugs, but only to 2% of the population. So this is an issue, and it's obviously more accentuated in other parts of the world. Now here, the highlights of Xbrane. Our leading product we call Xlucane, a biosimilar to ophthalmology drug Lucentis, used in treatment of age-related macular degeneration, an eye disease which affects elderly people and in worst case leads to blindness. This is a product we have in an ongoing phase 3 trial together with our commercialization partner STADA, German generic and biosimilar company. Together with them, we're targeting sales of this product of 350 million euro 3 years after launch. And out of that, roughly 100 million euro is expected to end up as income for Xbrane after deducting cost and profit sharing with STADA. So this is the leading product, and we're very excited about this program, and targeted launch is as the patent of the originator product Lucentis expires in 2022 in Europe. We believe this is an attractive market. It's probably the fastest growing segment within the pharmaceutical market. And we believe due to the rather high entry barriers that it's actually possible to generate healthy profit margins in this market. And also we can do these developments without taking so high technical risk. So in a phase 3 trial like we're going through now, history tells us that there's a roughly 90 to 95% probability of success. So for sure, much lower technical risk than in novel drug development. We based all our development on a patented production technology that spun out of Stockholm University. And the key to this platform is high yield, which leads to low production cost, something we believe will be crucial in the long-term perspective. The overall pipeline we are addressing here addresses 11 billion euro of originator product sales. And we are currently listed at the Nasdaq First North. Market cap, although it's going up and down a little bit, 40 million euro if I read out 19th of August. Cash of 23 million euro. And there's an uplisting process ongoing to Nasdaq main market. So these are the highlights. So this is the overall portfolio, leading product and Xlucane biosimilar to Lucentis. So this is the product that I want to be focusing on primarily for the rest of the presentation. We're talking about primarily a disease called age-related macular degeneration, so an eye disease affecting elderly people, worst case leading to blindness. Lucentis, the originator product we are addressing here, is a so-called VEGF-alpha inhibitor, which means that the mode of action is that it binds to the growth factor, VEGF-alpha, in the eye of the patients. And by doing that, it inhibits or prevents growth of abnormal blood vessels in the eye, which is causing the deteriorating vision amongst the patients. This is a market, if we think about VEGF-alpha inhibitors for ophthalmic use, of 9.4 billion euro. We have Lucentis and we have Eylea, so two competing products with roughly equivalent efficacy and safety with regards to treating these patients. And it's a market which is still growing. We look at the last 3 years and see an average growth of 11% per year. So it's a quite strongly growing market still. One part of the explanation here is that there is an unmet medical need. We estimate that there are roughly 5 million individuals affected in Europe and the US out of only 2 million receiving treatment with biological drugs. And obviously the gap is much higher in the rest of the world. And this is due to that these treatments are very expensive. We're talking about treatment costs of 5 to 10,000 euro per patient per year, in combination with restrictions in reimbursements in many countries around the world. The ongoing phase 3 trial is a global trial. We have clinics in 16 different countries. We're having 150 clinics recruiting, and it's patients with age-related macular degeneration, and the structure or design of this trial is pretty simple. There are two groups, one group being treated by the originator product Lucentis, and the other one with our biosimilar Xlucane. And what we're looking at here is improvement in vision 8 weeks after initiation of treatment. And we're comparing, and the objective here is to demonstrate equivalence versus Lucentis, the originator product. And the design of this trial, of course, is accepted by EMA and FDA and multiple scientific advices we've had with them. We've engaged a large global CRO, Syneos Health, with long experience in ophthalmology, and they are running this trial for us. We're set to finalize the recruitment by Q1 next year and being able to report data on the primary endpoint mid-2020. STADA is then our commercialization partner for this product. STADA has roughly 2 billion euro of sales, some 10,000 employees, and they have experience in biosimilars. They have now 3 biosimilars on the market. Just recently launched their biosimilars to teriparatide, and their biosimilar to EPO has sales of 200 million euro in Europe alone. So they have an experienced company in launching and commercializing biosimilars. Xlucane is a key product for them in their biosimilar portfolio. Now, if they're looking at an EBITDA contribution for them of roughly 100 million euro, it's significant because they currently have 500 million in EBITDA. So this is meaningful, and of course the private equity owners, Bain Capital and Cinven, are looking on this program with great interest as a key contributor to the value creation story and eventual exit, of course, they're looking at for with this investment. The deal we have with STADA, I think, is a good one. We received an upfront payment of 7.5 million euro when we entered the deal July last year, and then it's pretty simple. We share the development costs from that point and onwards 50-50, and we share the profits from sales and marketing of the product 50-50. So it's pretty simple. Xbrane is responsible for the development and the registration of the product, while STADA is responsible for sales and marketing. But we do work very closely during the development phase. We have a steering committee, we have a project team working very intimately so that Xbrane, and we're able to draw upon the extensive experience that STADA has also from some internal developments of biosimilars. Looking at the competition, if you will, when it comes to biosimilars to Lucentis, we have 2 products. Formycon have a Lucentis biosimilar, and Samsung Bioepis also. So we expect to come to market together with 2 other biosimilars to Lucentis. We do not believe that this is a stretched situation. Relatively speaking to other biosimilar opportunities that has opened up, this is rather favorable considering the size of the market and size of the originator product. And as said, we're listed at First North, market cap 40 million euro, to be compared with the Formycon listed in Frankfurt with approximately 300 million euro of market cap. What we said then, that our target is to reach product sales of 350 million euro 3 years after launch. And really what that is us taking, together with STADA, of course, 25% of the volume of the current Lucentis market at a 50% price discount. We believe that is reasonable. What we've seen historically with regards to price discounts, it has been 20 to 40% versus the originator price at day of patent expiration, but we've seen a slight downward trend. So we believe it's just and also a little bit conservative to take an assumption of 50% price reduction as average globally, of course. And 25% considering that we expect to come to market with 2 other biosimilars to the originator. Then, beyond that, we believe there's a further upside to take market from Eylea with patent expiration 3 years after Lucentis. We think there's a meaningful opportunity there. Market expansion, we've seen it for all biological products which have lost their patent expiration and face competition for biosimilars, that from a volume perspective, the market has expanded as the treatment cost goes down and the treatment becomes accessible to wider patient population. And then the rest of the world beyond Europe and the US is a very limited sales of Lucentis and Eylea today, but there's a big need for the product, and we believe there's a very meaningful opportunity. Looking at the recent experience with regards to biosimilars in Europe, on the left-hand side here, we've seen that the pickups of the penetration of the biosimilars have gone quicker and quicker, and recent experience tells us that the penetration rates of 60% is achievable within a year. That is to say, the market share that the biosimilars take versus the originator product, volume-wise. And US market lags behind Europe in this context, and although there's a lot of discussion and debate with regards to how US will develop and how the US biosimilar market will develop, we are pretty optimistic, almost certain that the market will develop in a positive direction. We see now that the Trump administration strongly enforces lower pharmaceutical costs, and if you shall do that, biosimilars really is the key. You have to stimulate that market in the US, something which is currently being done with FDA, with certain changes in the regulatory pathway, but also with regards to how the rebate system works and other aspects in the US. So we're pretty certain that there will be a meaningful biosimilar market also in the US. I mean, at the end of the day, 80% of all pharmaceuticals being prescribed in the US are generic. So I think that this will come. Okay, looking at the timeline here, 2019 is a lot about recruitment in the phase 3 trial for Xlucane, of course, and we expect to finalize that recruitment during Q1 2020 and then being able to report top-line data. That is to say, data on the primary endpoint from all patients mid-2020, and then submit marketing authorization application shortly thereafter in order to be able to have marketing authorization towards the second half of 2021 and then launch as patent expires in Europe in 2022. Then, during this time period, we of course also intend to progress our preclinical portfolio along the same journey that we've done with Xlucane to finalize preclinical development, enter into partnerships with commercialization partners, and then go into clinic. STADA invested now in our recent directed share issue and currently holds 8% of the company. And in connection to that, we also signed a broader strategic partnership around biosimilars, which includes that they currently are looking at our biosimilars to Cimzia and Opdivo with great interest, with the potential of us then entering into a firm collaboration around these products as well. All right, so then to summarize, Xlucane biosimilar to Lucentis, leading product currently in advanced stage, phase 3, with a target of generating for Xbrane 100 million euro in annual income, STADA as the commercialization partner. It's an attractive market, strong growth, ability to generate high margins and low technical risk. A patented technological platform with high yield, low cost, which we believe is an advantage for us. Strong portfolio, we believe, addressing 11 billion euro of originator sales, and then currently listed on at Nasdaq First North, 40 million euro market cap, and an uplisting process ongoing to main market. So that's briefly about Xbrane. Thank you very much.